Sheep Theater is the latest feature film by Daniel Lotz. I believe it was written and directed by him too. I'm not sure how much input Joel Dick actually had in this project, but I'm going to go over a few of the things that worked before getting into the meat of the matter. This time the costuming worked because the character is depressed and stuck in quarantine, so it kind of makes sense. In Chlorine, it was a little silly to see him dressed that way because he was playing a hitman, and it was kind of ridiculous to see him in sandals and basketball shorts killing people. Some of the scenes in the middle of the film with the talking sheep and Dan are really wholesome, and there are parts where it's genuinely funny too. Now, moving on, the rest of the video is most important. Let's address the religious aspects of everything. In the first film, Chlorine, there are some religious undertones, but it's never really fleshed out. In fact, in the film, the hitman doesn't even have a change of heart because of a moral reason, or because he feels convicted by God. He only changes his mind because he doesn't want to kill a family member. In Sheep Theater, Dan Lotz touches on religion again, but the problem is how he simplifies religion. Showing some shots of a Bible isn't depth. He uses faith just in a cliche way. A couple of points he shows a character saying a goodnight prayer, but this is shallow too, because he never shows how their faith is visible and impactful to its characters' lives each day. It's not powerfully used like in Mean Streets by Martin Scorsese, which explored Catholic guilt, or even in the episode called The Obsolete Man in the Twilight Zone, which is a moralistic series by Rod Serling. Serling was never shy about expressing his views on Christianity. Dan is too vague and never says how he really feels about God. Dan avoids the exploration of faith. Instead, he just uses it as a cute trademark. If you feel a certain way, then just express it. Brian De Palma and Oliver Stone weren't reserved about their views on illegal immigration.
Gun sticking in somebody's face. So, all we hear about in the papers is animals like you and the killings. It's Cubans like you who are giving a bad name to our people. People who come here and work hard and make a good name for themselves.
And that scene upset some people because of its commentary on immigration. And here's another scene that condemns the idea of living only to fulfill our secular desires.
This it? This what it's all about, Manny? Eating, drinking, fucking, sucking.
Come on.
Snoring. Then what? Now what?
Now, moving on to the music. When I reviewed Chlorine, I criticized it for its blandness, and I mentioned the Brown Bunny in the video because it effectively used music. Vincent Gallo, the director of that film, captured what nostalgia looks like on a camera, and he managed to complement it with a beautiful song that expressed it too. He managed to do both. We could hear the nostalgia, but most importantly, we could see the nostalgia too. But in Sheep Theater, there are moments where instead of showing us how to feel, he plays music to substitute it and make the music tell us how to feel. It's a lazy shortcut. Now here's a clip from Sheep Theater so you can see the difference.
When I'm not drinking, baby, you are on my mind. When I'm not sleeping, honey. When I ain't sleeping, mama. When I'm not sleeping, you know you'll find me crying. Try another city, baby, another town.
See, it's just him doing random stuff for 3 minutes while a catchy song plays over it, which makes it all seem like filler to expand the runtime. Here's the thing, so the film is about a man who loses his wife, right? He's depressed and stuck in his house, he's emotionally unstable, but film is a visual medium. Facial expressions are incredibly vital. So acting is really important, and I don't think Dan is fit to carry these roles with very heavy themes. For example, he only has 3 expressions in the film. He smiles a couple times, occasionally gets spooked, and he carries a blankless face. That's it. When he does cry, he doesn't even show the audience. Look at this video here of him crying. See, we literally can't see anything. Crying is supposed to be one of the most vulnerable acts, and we should be able to see it in this film because of the premise. Here's another crying scene. Again, we don't see anything, but look at this scene from The Brown Bunny. This character is crying over the loss of a loved one, just like Dan in Sheep Theater. But not only can we see his face, and later in the scene we see his eyes turn red and watery, but he's curled up in a fetal position. He's incredibly vulnerable. I understand where Dan was coming from, but he didn't execute these scenes the right way. Now take a look at this video clip from The Passion of Joan of Arc. See how her eyes and her face show us everything we need to know? It's the human experience. We don't even need the music paired with it, to be honest. That only enhances it. This is what we needed to see in Sheep Theater. Now, the film is an improvement from his last effort, and it does seem a little bit more focused, but unfortunately the stuff I've explained really hurts it from reaching its full potential. Plus, there are hardly any visual metaphors, too, in Chlorine and Sheep Theater. Because there are people out there who believe cinematography means it's only supposed to look pretty, but that's not entirely true. There are supposed to be visual metaphors, like this shot from Brian De Palma's Blowout. This one horrifying and striking image encapsulates our political crisis. Now, moving on from that, I did eye roll at one moment in the film where he name drops directors like Kurosawa and Bergman. It comes across like Dan is using this as street cred for the indie darlings and the A24 fanboys. He wants to let us know that he watches Bergman. In my last video, I said he should experience Bergman, but I should rephrase it. He needs to understand Bergman. Overall, it is a better film than Chlorine. Some of the sheep scenes are well made, the music works in a few scenes, particularly the last scene, and it seems more focused, but it's not a good film, and I hope he does make a good film. I think he just really needs to find his voice. And putting aside technical aspects, my biggest issue in Chlorine was the lack of consequences from the lead. It was a morally reprehensible film. I'll probably review his next film, but we'll see. I got a bunch of comments in my Chlorine video, including one from Dan, and a bunch of other comments too, which they all deleted except for one person. If I didn't want Dan to succeed though, then I wouldn't go through all of this to help him.